I'm excited.
Very nice. Very excited.
It's so nice.
I know you're obviously excited to see me again, as I am you. Each week. Obviously, big news in the UEFA Champions League with AB InBev set to replace Heineken as the official beer partner starting in 2027. The legacy brand no longer having a legacy with the Champions League, and will others be out the door as well too. US Soccer released their revenue for the 2025 fiscal year. Massive hiring for USL as they get set to introduce promotion and relegation. And the Seattle Sounders are looking for some money. Aren't we all? All that on this week's episode of Finance of Football. I'm veteran sports journalist Michael Leray.
And I'm the Athletics Women's Soccer business reporter, Asli. Welcome to the show.
What brand do you associate the Champions League with the most?
I think of Heineken.
Yes, exactly. You and millions of other people associate Heineken with the UEFA Champions League because they've been the exclusive UEFA beer sponsor since 1994. They're paying out around $115 million per season. But that is coming to an end as reports say that AB InBev, the owners of Budweiser, are going to take over that rights deal starting in 2027 at a deal close to $232 million per season. That is the first deal as the with relevant football partners and the UC3 group that they have. They have the global rights, and they're doing all the deals for UEFA beginning in 2027. So Heineken is out. These legacy brands are gone. There could be more that leave as well too in the Champions League, and it's just the changing and the passing of the torch as soccer continues to grow, not only globally, but especially here in North America.
That must be painful for Heineken to lose such an important deal. We spoke with people from AB InBev recently, and we know that they're very bullish on getting into soccer ecosystem. But seeing a variety of brands instead of one beer is going to be probably interesting, right?
Yeah, AB InBev has been involved. They've been a longtime partner of FIFA and a bunch of World Cups, and they recently signed a multi-Olympics deal with the IOC starting this past Olympics in 2024 Paris. So reports have it that it's going to be a 6-year deal expected to start in 2027. So AB InBev, that's Budweiser, it's Michelob Ultra. I think they also have Stella Artois. I'd imagine Stella Artois might play a bigger role out of their portfolio in the Champions League, just because I don't really know if Budweiser or Michelob Ultra have that kind of, I hate to call it class, but you associate Heineken, Champions League, there's that prestige might be the right word.
And also, it's a European brand. Like Europeans like European brands.
Exactly. It's obviously a great get for AB InBev. They now have arguably the two biggest soccer properties on the planet, with the World Cup and the Champions League. And it comes at a time where soccer is growing exponentially in the US and North America. So we'll be seeing a lot of AB InBev at the World Cup, next summer, and then obviously starting with the Champions League in 2027. So massive for them, and I am very curious to see what happens with some of those other legacy brands associated with the Champions League, if they kind of pony up the extra money, knowing the Champions League is bigger than ever before, or there's competitors who come in and say, now's the time to strike and really make that investment.
And talk about money and, growing your business. I think it's not a bad moment to segue into US Soccer, who just shared their financials for the 2025 fiscal year. And I think it's not shocking to a lot of us that they made $263.7 million in revenue. And for a nonprofit, that's a whopping, revenue. It's 37% bigger than the 2024 fiscal year. That means they added more sponsor, they sold more tickets. This is the highest total since 2017 fiscal year.
Great year for U.S. soccer in 2025, but I think following the World Cup is going to be even bigger, right? Because it's the first year that, new sponsors like Kellanova, American Airlines, Purina, maybe Chobani might be another one, their first year being on the books. So I think they're going to have even more money, into the World Cup and beyond. And then it's just the biggest thing to me is how are you utilizing it, right? Like, it's great, you have this money, but a national training center obviously helps at the top level. But to me, it's all about the grassroots. How are you creating opportunities for those kids, who are watching the World Cup and seeing it maybe for the first time live in their own backyard? How are you then creating opportunities for them to go through the player pathway system and hopefully play in the World Cup in 15 years from now? Because I think a lot of folks in '94, we're in our 30s and 40s now, and it's like we were motivated from that World Cup. So you're going to motivate this new generation of kids wanting to play, wanting to get into it, men's side, women's side. And it's really, how do you create those opportunities for them to do it where they're not breaking the bank for the sake of their bank, basically.
Totally. I wanted to point out one thing when you were listing these new sponsors, because I was just with the U.S. Women's National Team, as you know, going from Philadelphia to Connecticut. And what I saw that was striking to me is how much visibility U.S. Soccer is giving to their sponsors. There was a whole section for Chobani not that they were just giving them, this, sort of space for them to showcase their brand. The brands were working very closely with the fans by giving a lot of freebies, a lot of explanations and why they're supporting the team. And I thought, this is, beyond the 90 minutes of the game. How do you really gather people around football? But there was a lot of also opportunity for these brands, sponsors, to engage with U.S. Women's National Team fans. And I bet you that's the same situation for the men's team.
Yeah, and I think that goes to a larger kind of point and trend where you can't just slap your name or logo onto something and think that you're going to get a good return from your investment, right? You need to be active. You need to create, opportunities at the stadiums. You need to do things outside of the 90 minutes of the match as well, too, to really get that brand association. It needs to be more hands-on, because then
meaningful.
Exactly, yeah, more meaningful, because I think people are more aware of brands these days and what they stand for, and how they interact and all of those things. So especially if I'm going to a women's national game, and it's more family friendly, right? It's bringing your sons and daughters and all of that. And yeah, they get their faces painted, and they might get a free coupon for a yogurt at the grocery store.
Sugar free. And they were
Sugar-free.
promoting sugar free, which is, actually, when you think about it, like you said, you're not going to give kids unnecessary amount of sugar when it's before a major sporting event, right? You're actually bringing the right product to share with the right, demographic.
Exactly. And then they might associate, hey, listen, I'm going to eat this sugar-free yogurt before I go to school or before I play soccer. And now they have that brand association where it's my favorite women's soccer player. She eats this before her game, so now I want to eat it before my games as well, too.
This week's biggest, news, in my opinion, and I don't know what you think about it, was the fact that Chief Football Officer of Premier League, Tony Scholes, being named the president of the new USL Division I League. Massive. This is huge news. And I know you have a lot to say about that. I feel like this gives a great insight to what USL says they want to do about, promotion relegation, right? That's a huge step towards achieving it.
I 1,000% agree. This is a massive, massive get for USL, and MLS needs to take notice, right? We talked about this before when they announced the intention to do promotion relegation by launching this new Division I league, which then gives them the 3 tiers. Getting someone like Tony Scholes, Chief Football Officer of the Premier League, he knows what he's doing, right? It's a massive get for USL, and it really sends a message to soccer in the US of, we're going to do something different, not different in the grand scheme of soccer, because there's promotion relegation in every other league but here. But we're going to do something different here in the US, and we're going to see if people are going to migrate over from MLS or not. And I wouldn't be surprised if people
Oh,
don't.
you mean like teams will migrate from MLS
No,
to
I mean
USL?
fans.
Oh,
I
oh,
don't think
fans.
MLS would ever, because the whole reason, like, there used to be some of the like Red Bull 2 and some of those other like U23 teams in MLS. They used to be USL teams, and then MLS launched MLS Next, MLS Next Pro.
MLS
They
next.
created their own kind of feeder system as well, just because it's easier for branding purposes and messaging and marketing and all of those things. But I think you're going to see fans who might say, oh, this team might get relegated to USL Division 2, or this team might come up and they have this amazing story. I want to follow this. I don't care if, the LA Galaxy go from MLS Cup champions to worst in the league, because there's nothing on the line. But in the USL and creating promotion, relegation, and all that drama, you now are going to bring people in. It's all about the drama.
I don't know how you perceive it, but to me, the lower divisions in the football pyramid is more than creating a talent pipeline. Of course, that is a great way to train players and prepare them for the higher division. But I think the best part of it is the drama. Because you can always have a youth academy and, create your own, like you can have one, like the way every other, big team is doing. They don't need a talent pipeline that has to come from a lower league. They can create other ways to do that. They can take players from a different country or whatnot. I think here the most important part is, like you said, it's drama sells. And let's not forget, the most watched games of the Premier League, other than the derbies throughout the year, are the promotion relegation games at the end. Even if you're not supporting those teams, you're watching those games. And that's what the broadcasters are after. And I keep telling you this. I think I heard Tim Howard talk about that in his podcast. He said, with the right setup, USL can be a very sexy broadcasting product just because they have promotion relegation. And they can, monetize that week of excitement in a way that perhaps not even the playoffs at the MLS or, other leagues can, secure, because the stakes are higher. I love that week. I wrote about it so many times. It's the $200 million, match in Premier League. If you make it to Premier League, your broadcast revenue goes up by $200 million. And I think that is what makes everything so spicy.
Yeah, it's the richest match in football, right? And people are tuning in and they've never heard of Luton Town before in their lives. And you are on the edge of your seat, right? You might not follow the league throughout the season, but I need to tune in for the League One, the League Two, and the Champions. I need to tune into these playoffs because there's so much on the line. And I think what we lack here in the States is we have sports teams in big markets and big cities, right? Like even a city like Austin, Texas had 0 professional sports teams until Austin FC came into the fold in 2021 or whatever year that was. It's the first professional team in Austin, Texas, which is like the 8th largest city in the country. And now you're taking USL teams and putting them in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and Fort Wayne, Indiana. And you're giving these smaller markets and these communities something to look forward to, because they don't have professional sports. Maybe they have college teams, but they don't have professional sports. So now all you're doing is creating more opportunities for players, creating more opportunities for fans. You're giving people, hey, here's something I can go do on a Saturday night. It's such a great recipe for success. And MLS, like, what's the smallest MLS market? In terms of city, it's New York, it's LA, it's Miami, it's all the big cities where you have 100 other professional sports teams there. But in the USL, you're giving these communities something. And I think now you're going to give them something with a cherry on top of drama and promotion and relegation. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And I'm excited for another big announcement / business story about to happen in American soccer. And that's the fact that Seattle Sounders are looking for new investors. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's right. They are out there in the market looking for some extra money, aren't we all?
Right? Like,
Right.
wow, that's not news. Who doesn't want money?
Aren't we all? Yeah, exactly. But this is the first time that the Sounders are, looking for they have a minority sales stake since joining MLS in 2009, and reports are that they're looking to potentially help fund a soccer specific stadium near their practice facility in Renton. So they're at Lumen Fields through 2032. So obviously they have a lot of time on this, but what we're seeing in Major League Soccer is a lot of these clubs are building soccer-specific stadium. We're seeing it in the NWSL as well, too. I think the recipe for success for soccer in the U.S. is soccer-specific stadiums. We have Red Bull Arena in our backyard. Inter Miami are building their stadium. NYCFC is building a stadium. Nashville, Cincinnati, like you name it, all these clubs are doing it. And I think the Sounders are getting to that point where they're like, hey, it's time for a bit of a change. So they're trying to bring in some minority investors here to help fund that.
Yeah. You said in New York CFC, I was driving from the Bronx back, and I was southerly ending. We were crossing towards, Queens, and I looked and I was like, wow, they're like, it's already there. Like, I can't see the City Field anymore when I'm driving down. I see, the new stadium going up pretty quickly, I have to say. I think having your own stadium it depends on where it is and how much outside revenue you can bring to the team, to your business. I think it makes sense in a city like New York, where we have so many cultural activities and sporting events, and I understand why New York City FC has space and like opportunity to build it right there. You have the subway line, you have the bus. I mean, location, right? So I don't know where Renton is, because Lumen Field happens to be in a great spot in Seattle. So I wonder like how they're thinking and what they're thinking around building the stadium and make it accessible for fans, because they have a huge fan base and they're very loyal fan base. Are they going to use this new stadium with Seattle Rain? I have so many questions to Adrian Hanauer, but I feel like we will probably, break it down in one of the next episodes and try to figure out what's the big plan. Anyways, thank you for bringing this interesting topics, Michael.
It's my pleasure. And, there's always a lot of things happening in the finance of football and the business of the beautiful game, as we call it. So I'm glad we have the opportunity to talk about this week in and week out. And I'm excited to see what next week brings. I'm going to be in Berlin. I don't know what you got coming up next week, but I'm going to be in Germany with the Bundesliga. There's a big NFL game. They're playing at Olympiastadion. And so I'm going to be out there for the week. So ich bin ein Berliner, as they say, right?
Wow, impressive. Don't forget, if you really want to go out and have fun, my brother-in-law is a very famous DJ in Berlin, Jake the Rapper. Maybe we should hook you up.
I think so. Let's make it happen. I'll report back in next week's episode.
I'll make it happen. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we're looking forward to be with you again next week from 2 different continents.
Finance of Football comes to you from the Frequency Machine Podcast Network. Hit us up on social on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube for more football business and our enlightened opinions. This episode was produced by co-hosts Asa Pellet and Michael Leray. It was edited by Ryan Hammond. Mixing and mastering by Julian Kwasniewski. Our theme music is by Hatam Metsunami. Our show is executive produced by Stacy Book and Avi Glajansky for Frequency Machine. Find more about Finance of Football at frequencymachine.com. Follow us on YouTube at Finance of Football and listen anywhere you get podcasts. Please like and subscribe. Help us reach more people. We love you for it.